Today we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be on supervision once you've been released from incarceration, either from jail or prison. It's a great feeling to walk out of those doors, to know that you are in a new place at a different time and you're ready for your reentry. But the reality is that though you're free to a certain extent, you're still under supervision. And that is only one step away from being back to a place of incarceration if you break rules or if you don't comply with the instructions and directions of your probation and parole officer. I want to follow up on that a little bit in our conversation with Mark Johnson to give us some ideas about what your best practices would be for those who are on supervision, either on probation or on parole from state or federal prisons. What should people be thinking about? What are some of the things that they really need to focus on in order to maintain that straight pathway?
Well, some of the things that I would encourage people are that as soon as you get out of incarceration or county jail or wherever you are, if you're on active supervision, whether it's state supervision or federal supervision, you need to make contact with your probation officer or your supervising officer. You need to do that immediately, quickly as you can. And then you just need to ask them, what do you need me to do? When do I need to come in? You need to fill out the reports and all those things. You just need to make contact with the supervision officer and ask them what your next steps are. But you need to keep in mind that when you're on supervision, you have reporting requirements and all those things, which your supervision officer will go over with you.
So what I hear you saying is that people really need to understand the rules and to go over those and make sure that they have a complete understanding of what's expected of them. So what would you say the 3 or 4 most important things to do when you're on supervision?
Well, the things, of course, the first thing is to make contact and do your due diligence with your probation officer. But the probation officers will require written reports from you, usually monthly reports and so forth, but they will also expect you to find employment. They will expect you to submit to the drug testing, do a drop as it's called in the business, to do a drop, and they will expect you to do that. And then anytime that you have a change of address or you're relocating, or anytime you have a change in employment, things like that. And you also need to keep in mind that working with your supervision officer is something that you have to do, so you just need to make the most of it. You need to make the best of it. You need to have a good attitude about it. You need to be, I'm not going to say compliant, but generally that's basically what it is. You need to be compliant with the direction of what the probation officers and the court tell you. And keep in mind that supervision requirements may be different if you're a federal inmate versus a state inmate. And you have curfews, you have that you're not to associate with other criminals, other people on criminal supervision or people like that. And you need to watch your peer associations. You need to be careful about the people that you hang out with.
And we also know that there's some restrictions with respect to travel. So in the state system, if you need to go out of the county, you need to get permission from your probation and parole officer. And the other aspect of that is to try to maintain a good relationship with your probation and parole officer. I mean, they have a lot of authority, and it's important for every individual to make sure that they are attentive on their reporting, but also that they're prompt in their in keeping appointments. And then this idea that Mark talked about the appearance of what we call impropriety, of just being around a place that has some criminal activity. You're under a microscope when you're on supervision. It doesn't last forever, but while you're on supervision, you need to really dot your I's and cross your T's so that you can stay out, that you can maintain your sobriety, that you can keep your employment, that you can reunite with your family, and that you can reintegrate into the community. These are what all of us want for people who are coming out of places of incarceration. We want you to be successful. And one of the ways of being successful is to maintain a good relationship with your probation and parole officer and keep up with the rules and regulations that are applied to you. Hopefully this will be helpful to remind you of some of the things that are important with respect to your supervision, and we wish you the best of luck as you continue on this journey.